So the message today is called Only. Turn to the person next to you and say, Only? Only. Okay. Now, if we look into I've got a time limit, right? So let's look at my phone. I don't think that's right. No, I haven't got 10 minutes left. Let's have a look. Okay, it's 11:14. 11:15, just changed. Right. 25 minutes, max. Okay. The word only in the dictionary is this. It says, it's nothing else, nothing more, merely, or just. Basically, this is all I've got. I've got nothing left. It's insignificant. It's not much. Okay, the word only. If you've got a Bible, turn to 1 Kings 17. Okay. You there? Brilliant. Right, here we go. Then the word of the Lord came to him, saying, Arise, go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon, and dwell there. I'm on a time limit. See, I have commanded a widow there to provide for you. So he arose, went to Zarephath, and when he came to the gate of the city, indeed, a widow was there gathering sticks. And he called to her and said, Please bring me a little water in a cup that I may drink. And as she was going to get it, he called to her and said, Please bring me a morsel of bread in your hand. So she said, As the Lord your God lives, I do not have bread, only, say only, a handful of flour in a bin, and a little oil in a jar. And see, I am gathering a couple of sticks, that I may go in and prepare it for myself and my son, that we may eat and die. And Elijah said to her, Do not fear. Go and do as you have said, but make me a small cake from it first, and bring it to me. And afterwards make some for yourself and your son, for thus says the Lord God of Israel, the bin of flour shall not be used up, nor shall the jar of oil run dry until the day of the Lord sends rain to the earth. So she said, she went away and she did according to the word of Elijah. And she and he and her household ate for many days. The bin of flour was not used up, nor did the jar of oil run dry, according to the word of the Lord, which he spoke by Elijah. Okay, if you've got a Bible, turn to Matthew 14, verse 13. When Jesus got there, yeah, brilliant. Okay, when Jesus heard it, he departed from there by boat to a deserted place by himself. But when the multitudes heard it, they followed him on foot from the cities. And when Jesus went out, he saw a great multitude, and he was moved with compassion for them, and healed their sick. When it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, This is a deserted place, and the hour is already late. Send the multitudes away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves food. But Jesus said to them, They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat. And they said to him, We have here only, say only, 5 loaves and 2 fish. He said, Bring them here to me. Then he commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass. And he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples. And the disciples gave to the multitudes, so that they all ate and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of fragments that remained. Now those who had eaten were about 5,000 men, plus women and children. Okay. So the widow and the disciples present their only. Yeah, the widow says, I've only got this. The disciples say, we've only got that. Okay? And they look at the situation and they say, we only have this. What we've got is not enough. What we've got is insignificant. Look at your relationship with God, and because of how you see that you're meant to present yourself to God with so much, that actually your little, your only, is so insignificant that you feel it's so insignificant to God, it's not worth it, that you just might as well not bother. But maybe, like these guys, it's like, I have got something, but it's so tiny and so insignificant. And compared to all the other people that I'm looking at, look at the way they worship. Look at the way they dance. Look at the way they serve. Look at how they put time and effort into this, and this. Look at how much, like, God must love them so much by how much they are able to give. And I've only got this in me right now to give, and it's just not in comparison to that. So therefore, it's just nothing. It's not worth it. Maybe there's some of you here today that you feel that you come today with your only, and your only is not a lot. And because it's not a lot, it's really not worth doing anything with it. It's almost saying to God, I like, it's better that I just keep my only, isn't it? Isn't it better that, rather than, have you got snacks, you guys at the front? What's that about? Did you hear that I was talking? So maybe you're only, you look at yourself and you've got this thing like the widow, like the disciples where you're like, Jesus, look, we've only got this. Elijah, we've only got this. How do you present your only to God? How do you present your only to God? Is it insignificant? Is it irrelevant? Is it not a lot? Are you hanging on by a thread and you've just got some tiny bit of energy left, but because it's so tiny, because it's so insignificant, because compared to everyone else, it just looks like rubbish, like nothing. You just think, what's the point? Or maybe you're like David, who was labeled an only. Like maybe you've been labeled an only. We've been talking over the last couple of weeks about labels, but maybe people just have said to you over your life that you're an only. In 1 Samuel 17:42, are you there? Good, right? And when the Philistines looked about and saw David, he disdained him. That means he hated him. And the Philistine was Goliath. He hated him, for he was only, say only, a youth, ruddy and good looking. Do you know I was laughing because, where is he? Okay, so he disdained him, he hated him because he was only a youth. Maybe in your life, you've been labeled an only. Maybe you've been labeled an only. She's only that. He's only this. Only a youth. Maybe you've been told you're only here because you're a mistake. Maybe that's your only. Maybe we have got labels over us that say you can't amount to anything because you've only got one GCSE. Maybe you've got labels over you that say you're only here, you've only got to where you are today because of luck. It's just the way it's worked out. It's not because of anything of you. It's only because of circumstances and situations that you've got what you've got. You are where you are today. Only. What's your only today? I wonder what the only in your life is when you look at yourself. What only are you presenting to God? Perhaps you look at others and the way that they are able to express their relationship with God, and you think, wow, this is only what I've got. Look what they've got. Perhaps you're that person. Maybe you believe that God is asking for everything and more from you. Maybe he's asking because your only is this, and you think God is asking for this, that you just can't give him that because it's not nothing to him. He doesn't care about that. He wants this and nothing else. He wants perfection. He wants everything you've got. Maybe your perception of who God is in your life is that. You see, when we look at these stories, the widow, the disciples, David, what people saw as only, God saw as the potential to increase. What we see as only, what people see as only, God sees as the potential to increase. Yeah? What you see as only in your life, God sees as an incredible opportunity to show you that is all he is asking for. When you present your only, that's all he's asking for. Isn't it interesting that someone else's need is someone else's only? See, the widow, she saw only a few ingredients. Elijah saw bread. The disciples only saw bread. Jesus saw a feast for the multitudes. The multitudes saw just a boy, but God saw a man that was going to change a whole nation, save a whole nation. Your only, or your need, is someone else's only. And because of that, we downplay what our only is. Because we look at someone else and we think, well, they've got bread. They've got bread. But I need bread. So someone else's need is someone else's only. Maybe because you see someone else's only is your need, you see your only as insignificant. You see what you have as insignificant because for someone else it isn't a need for them. Maybe today when you present your only to God, you look at other people and think they can give more than I can give. Therefore mine's insignificant. It's not worth it. It's worth everything to God. Your only is worth everything to God. Church, today in a bit, we're going to present our only to God. Whatever you have, it's enough because when we give God our only, it feeds others. Do you know that? When we present our only to God, it will feed others. Not only ourselves, not only will God increase your only in your own life, it will overflow into others. You want to know how God's going to change your life, how you are going to be used by God? Present your only first, and God will multiply it, and he will use it to change lives. We see, so here I got some stuff here. Does anyone know what this is? Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? Anyone? Flour. So in the story with the widow, it says this. It says that she says, I've got nothing. I've just got a handful of flour. I've just got a handful of flour. This is all I've got. Just a handful of flour. And basically, like, when you look at that, you think that might not be a lot. But when you look up don't worry about the mess. Jess will hoover later. When you look at the Hebrew, there's a word called mellow. Turn to the person next to you and say mellow. And handful comes into the same word as full, fullness, complete, enough. See, a handful, can you get anything else in there? No. You can't get anything else in there, Daisy. You're a bit worried, aren't you? And you can't get anything else in there. You can't get anything else because it's enough. It's enough. All you can give is that. Look, you can't get anything else in there. A handful is enough. Isn't it, guys? So, it's enough. Oh, mate, that was your best dress. Okay, so. I think Daisy might want to go on the other side next week. Okay, so it's enough. Your handful is enough. Your handful is enough. You don't need to worry about whether it's enough because you can't get any more in there. So when you're presenting your only to God, your only is all you've got. It's all you've got. And I want to say to you that every time we gather, like on a Sunday, or any time you present yourself to God during the week, and you come with your weakness, and you come with the levels of energy that are just like non-existent, and you're worn out, and you're being beaten down, and everything's coming at you in all angles, from all angles. You've got nothing left, but just a handful. It's enough. It's enough to God. Your only is enough. Your only is enough. Okay, this is going to sound a bit weird. Do you know that only isn't only? Turn to the person and say to you, only isn't only. See, at the beginning of the message, I told you what the dictionary definition was for only, which was basically nothing else, nothing more, merely just. Insignificant, not much to it. But when we look up the dictionary definition for only, do you know there's more meanings to it? And so when we start looking at it, only isn't just only. It's not just this thing that's like insignificant. When you look up the dictionary definition of only, it says unquestionably the best. Turn to the person next to you and say unquestionably the best. See, God is not asking you to give what you don't have. He's not asking you to give more than you've got. He's asking you to give the little that you do have. Because when you present that only to Him, it's so powerful. And only goes from being a negative word, only goes from being a negative word in your life. I haven't got enough. It's really insignificant. God, what can you really do with this? It goes from that type of word to being an incredibly beautiful word to God. Because it is unquestionably the best. Unquestionably the best that you've got right now. All I've got is this, God. It's all I've got. And God says that's all I need. But let's not take my word for it. Let's not take my word for it. I'm going to come out here. We're going to come out here, right? Monica, I don't know if I hope that's a Bible app. Right, okay. So, can you just read this for me and then just emphasize that word, okay?
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten
That he gave his
only begotten Son,
okay,
that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life.
Amazing. Let's find someone else. Okay, Anne, here you go. Could you read that? Just that needs to be louder than any other word. Okay, go.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son.
Okay. Okay, I'm not feeling it. Ash, here we go. Okay.
So, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
Okay, church, next time I go around, we're all going to say that. Okay, so, because I'm not seeing that you're vibing this. You're not getting it. Okay, so, could you ready? Ready? Read the whole scripture, this top bit.
This bit.
Right, okay.
For God so loved the world that he gave his begotten Son.
I'll do. Right, okay. Claire, let's see if you can preach.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son.
Okay, who else wants to preach? Ian, that's how I go.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son.
Okay, he gave his only. You see, when we present our only to God, we see it as insignificant and not a lot and worth nothing. But God says that only is not insignificant. It's not merely, it's not just, it's not tiny. It's unquestionably the best because he himself gave his only. And he gave his only for us. So he's happy that we give our only for him. And he doesn't see it as merely or nothing because he didn't see Jesus as that on the cross. He didn't see Jesus as nothing on the cross. He didn't see it as insignificant. He saw Jesus as unquestionably the best that he had to give. And I want to say to you, church, that this morning we're going to worship God. Could we have the worship team come up? We're gonna worship God, but what I want to say to you is you don't need to live under the condemnation that you're not perfect. You don't need to live under the condemnation that you're not doing better than the person sat next to you. You just need to come with your only to God. You just need to come and give God what you've got right now. Maybe right now you are hanging. Maybe right now you're fed up. Maybe right now you're going through some trials and struggles in your life and you're just like, God, I have got nothing to give. And he says, nothing? That's your only right now. Bring it to me. Bring it to me. Just come with your only to God. God doesn't see your only the way you see it because his only was the greatest, most powerful, most life-changing, earth-shattering, kingdom-shaking only there has ever been. Hallelujah. His only changed the world. Amen. What can your only do? What can your only do? It can change the world. Hi guys, thanks for watching this video. Please click subscribe to find out more about the Hillfields Church YouTube channel or go to our website to connect with us. Love you guys.